Well, Matt, I'm standing here, as you say, outside Trump Tower, where you can't see them, but about 24 of Trump's supporters have gathered here, and where in about 45 minutes' time, Donald Trump himself is due to land and make his way here. He will no doubt spend the evening huddling with his advisors. Then tomorrow, as only he would, he said that he will go downtown outside the courthouse to join a protest organised in his name from about 10:30, 11 in the morning, ahead of his official charging at around 2:15 in the afternoon. The rally, incidentally, is being organised by one of his staunchest supporters in Congress, the Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, ahead of that rally, the mayor of New York this morning had some choice words for her and any Trump supporters due to turn up overnight, when he said this: "For any potential rabble-rousers, our message is clear and simple. Control yourselves." Here, Matt, is how we got here.
There he is!
Only this former president could make a theatrical spectacle out of a journey to surrender himself to be criminally charged. A first in American history. But this is Donald Trump, a man who's made an art out of turning misfortune, the murkier the better, into political opportunity. And the only man, perhaps, for whom an indictment about his alleged involvement in hush money payments to an adult film star, Stormy Daniels, could supercharge his presidential campaign rather than see it off.
We don't yet know the full extent of the charges against the former president, but we do know the hysteria surrounding the imminent appearance of Trump at a courthouse here in New York has already put Donald Trump back in the spotlight, which is precisely where he wants to be, and helped stoke division in an already polarized America.
Mixed feelings, because I'm glad that he got indicted, but also what does that say about our country that he would be able to be president? How devastating.
I think it's all political scheme. I think it's a ploy to try to not get him to run for presidency again.
I think the justice system is kind of flawed. It has been the whole time. So, we're just finding out firsthand from an ex-president what it's really about.
Stormy Daniels says she and Mr. Trump had a brief affair in 2006, which he has always denied. But his lawyer, Michael Cohen, later admitted he paid Daniels $130,000 in hush money ahead of the presidential election in 2016. And he alleged it was Trump who made him do it.
First of all, nothing at the Trump Organization was ever done unless it was run through Mr. Trump.
Trump repaid the money to Cohen in a series of checks, and it's those payments that are likely at the heart of the charges against the former president, due to be unveiled tomorrow in New York.
How big of a deal is it that a former president is in that court there beside us?
Wow, it's completely unprecedented. Obviously, we've never had a former president face charges like this. I expect it will be the biggest criminal case that's ever gone through these doors, and this is an old building, and this is Manhattan. So it is absolutely enormous.
Trump says precisely because it's liberal Manhattan and it's a Democratic district attorney leading the case, that this is yet more evidence of the years-long witch hunt against him, timed precisely, he claims, to interfere with the upcoming 2024 election, which is precisely why Joe Biden, the likely Democratic candidate, is keeping stum on the whole affair.
I have no comment on that. Mr. President.
But some Democrats are speaking out, careful to stick to the process and not criticize Trump and bolster his narrative.
That no one is above the law, not even a former president of the United States. And yet, I think the most important part of this is to say that a foundational piece of our democracy is holding. That it is possible to have an independent investigation, to go wherever the facts lead, and then to follow the process through.
Donald Trump has now departed Mar-a-Lago in Florida, the prodigal son returning to his stomping ground in Manhattan, where for the first time in his history and in America's, a former president will be held accountable for his alleged misdeeds and criminally charged.
Siobhan Kennedy reporting there. Well, one of the lawyers representing Mr. Trump is Jim Trusty. He joins me now from Washington, D.C. Mr. Trusty, good to have you on the program. Presumably, as a lawyer, you welcome the chance for your client, Donald Trump, to clear his name in a court of law.
Well, I don't welcome the process that's led us here, but yes. And let me just say, you know, what your viewers may not know, this case began with a prosecutor running on a platform of indicting Donald Trump. That is something that is completely fundamentally flawed in terms of the criminal justice system here. We are supposed to have prosecutors, and I was a prosecutor for 27 years, a Queen's Counsel, and did it for 27 years, and we were supposed to be judicious and follow the evidence where it leads us. This is not rule of law when you announce that you're going to target somebody and try to pin a charge on him that multiple prosecutors, including Alvin Bragg, have already passed on before. So we do welcome the chance for some more transparency about this process. We welcome the chance to look at the legal frailties and, of course, the credibility frailties of relying on someone who's a convicted perjurer like Mr. Cohen.
Okay, well, Alvin Bragg would deny those charges that you just made against him, but he's, of course, not the only one dealing with the justice of Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump faces two cases in civil court, and he faces a potential other two cases in criminal court, and I think you're representing him for one of those cases regarding the documents that he kept at Mar-a-Lago. So his judicial problems are only starting in the building behind me. They're set to get a lot more serious, aren't they, in the next few months or years?
Well, there's a commonality of overreach. You know, the Georgia prosecutor who wants to criminalize a phone call has announced when she ran for office that she wanted to indict this man. And frankly, the Department of Justice has been overreaching when it comes to Mar-a-Lago and January 6th, the areas that I'm involved in ways that are extraordinary. I mean, should not have a system that creates different rules for different people. It's not about Donald Trump being above the law. It's when you have prosecutors that are basically trophy hunters that are treating him beneath the law, where he has less rights than an ordinary citizen. So we're fending it off. We hope that there'll be more transparency in terms of the heavy-handed tactics that we've seen and ones that I've never seen in 35 years of being around criminal justice. But it'll take some time for all of that to get out, and we'll start with New York.
Thing is, if he doesn't go on trial, then, you know, the people who don't like him will say, well, this is, you know, political justice working in his favor. So at some stage, you're going to have to let the wheels of justice do their work. And that is what we're seeing right now, isn't it?
Well, I think that's an overly rosy approach when you've got prosecutors targeting somebody who's running for president, a former president running for president during the campaign season. I mean, this is not something that should be done lightly. It should be something where judicious-minded prosecutors, if they're doing anything, they're following evidence and not following a target. But they've made it clear through their actions that they are targeting this man, and part of the targeting is done federally, which means Joseph Biden, our current president, is okaying looks into his chief rival. So these are not, you know, this is a Rubicon we shouldn't cross lightly. And when you talk about a case that's been passed over multiple times by prosecutors, including Alvin Bragg, then, you know, we really have to wonder what's going on with our criminal justice system.
But it is very strange, is it not, that here's a man who's mired in judicial problems, who at the same time is intent on running for the White House. So is getting into the White House Donald Trump's best chance of staying out of jail?
I don't know that there'll be a real cause and effect in terms of, I mean, let me just say this. The support he's getting, which is starting to span different political parties to his benefit, is kind of amazing. It's really an acknowledgement that even people that are not immersed in the law, that are not dealing with criminal justice, recognize basic unfairness. So politically, in some ways, this has been helpful to him. But how it's going to play out in terms of the presidency, obviously, nobody knows. You know, there's no perfect crystal ball there. I can just tell you, from the legal lane, which is where I operate, not the political lane, we're seeing extraordinarily bad things, bad precedent. You let the genie out of the bottle, and it may never go back in. So the people that are celebrating his potential demise probably don't fully accept or fully recognize what damage they're doing to this system, which has been, you know, the envy of the world in many ways for many years.
Right. Well, let's see if the system survives the current trials. Jim Trusty, thank you very much indeed for joining us.